Welcome back to Generative AI 101, the show where we make AI and generative AI simple enough that you won't sound like you're mansplaining at a dinner party. I'm Emily Laird, your guide through the messy, brilliant world of machine learning. Today, we're talking about how AI cranks out images using models like GANs, VAEs, and diffusion models. Yeah, you might not care about the technical guts behind it, but trust me, this is where things get both fascinating and just a little chaotic. And honestly, it's a beautiful mess. Welcome to Generative AI 101. All right, let's get into it. Let's kick things off with how most of these AI image generators work. Imagine you've got a blank canvas in front of you, but instead of picking up a brush, you simply describe what you want. Give me a sunset over a futuristic city, or show me a cat lounging on a floating island. You hit submit, and within seconds, an image pops up on your screen. No muss, no fuss. This is the magic of text to image generators. They're like digital artists with an endless supply of creativity and zero complaints about working overtime. The real kicker? You can keep tweaking your creations until it's just right. Say the AI nails the sunset but turns your cat into something that looks more like a raccoon. No problem. Just erase that part of the image, refine your description, make the cat fluffier, and lose the raccoon vibe. Let the AI give it another go. This process is where the real power of AI meets human creativity. So instead of replacing artists, these tools complement what we can do, giving anyone from professional designers to curious novices the ability to create stunning visuals with just a few words. So let's dig into the guts of these image generation models. Let's start with GANs. Okay, so that stands for Generative Adversarial Networks. We've talked about these before, but let's revise. So imagine two rival chefs, okay, locked in the world's most passive aggressive cook off. One's the generator, trying to serve you dishes that look legit, and the other's the discriminator, inspecting every plate like this Michelin star critic on a power trip. The generator makes an image. The discriminator points out how fake it looks. Yes, it's me judging designer handbags I see on the street. And they repeat this charade over and over until the generator's pumping out something you could swear was the real deal. Now, GANs are impressive. They really are. They've given us photorealistic images of people who don't exist. They can make a fake face look as authentic as your reflection after a rough night. But they can also be temperamental, like a temperamental artist with a penchant for throwing tantrums. Sometimes they get stuck making the same image over and over, what we call mode collapse. GANs may be hotshots, but they're not always reliable. So next up, we've got VAEs. This is variational autoencoders. So if GANs are the hustlers, VAEs are the philosophy majors, right, who spent a little too much time in their own heads. VAEs take an image, break it down into something more abstract, what we call latent space, and then try to rebuild it. Problem is, when they put it back together, it doesn't always come out quite right. Think of it as trying to reassemble a shattered vase. You'll get something that looks kind of like the original, but the cracks are still visible. And sometimes it just looks blurry. That's the thing about VAEs. They're more about quantity than quality. They'll give you a lot of different images, but they tend to lack the sharpness you'd get from GANs. You get a wide range, sure, but it's like looking at the world through a pair of glasses smeared with fingerprints. Not ideal. But there's something kind of beautiful about it if you're into abstraction. And finally, we've got diffusion models. So these are the slow, methodical types, the kind of artists who start with a mess and painstakingly chisel it into something spectacular. They work by adding noise to an image until it's basically just static. Then they slowly remove the noise until what's left is polished, detailed image. Here's the rub, though. They take their sweet time, but the results? Stunning. Diffusion models can create images that are sharp, incredibly detailed. Think of it as the difference between fast food and a meal that takes hours to prepare. Sure, the wait's a pain, but when the dish finally hits the table, it's perfection. All right, so we've covered the basics, gone under the hood. Now let's talk about the heavyweights in the real world of AI image generation. So you've probably heard of them. Let's start with just Midjourney, DALL-E, and Stable Diffusion. These are the tools that have everyone from artists to engineers buzzing. They've got a lot of tricks up their sleeve. Here's what's on deck for some future episodes. So we're going to start with Midjourney. It's the artsy one of the bunch. Midjourney combines the brute force of diffusion models with a little GAN magic to create striking, sometimes otherworldly images from simple text prompts. You type in rustic cabin in the woods during a thunderstorm, and out comes a scene so vivid you can practically hear the rain on the roof. Think of it as an AI that went to art school and came out with an avant-garde degree. Well, then look at DALL-E by OpenAI. Now, DALL-E mostly relies on diffusion models to craft its images, but it's got some GAN components woven in, making sure those images aren't just passable, they're sharp. It's the kind of model that doesn't just give you what you ask for, it goes beyond, mixing and matching elements in ways that can surprise you. A cat wearing a spacesuit? Sure, but why not throw in a neon sunset for good measure? DALL-E doesn't just follow your lead, it adds a little flair of its own. I like that. Then there's Stable Diffusion. This one's a workhorse. It uses what's called a latent diffusion model, a leaner, meaner version of your standard diffusion model, and we'll talk about that in the episode. It starts in a more compressed space, which makes it faster than the classic version, but it still delivers detailed, high-quality results. Oh, and it's open source, so you can play around with it yourself if you're feeling adventurous. We'll explore how all that works in upcoming episodes. Trust me, it is worth the wait. And that's where we'll leave it for today. So we've covered GANs, VAEs, and diffusion models. It might seem like different animals, but together they're really shaping how we think about image creation and making it a lot weirder and a lot more exciting in the process. Stick around for the next few episodes where we'll really plunge into these AI-generated heavyweights like Midjourney, DALL-E, and Stable Diffusion. It's going to get interesting and probably a little strange. In the meantime, if you've got questions or just want to chat, you can find me on LinkedIn. Just search for Emily Laird, Laird, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay curious, stay adventurous, and remember, no matter how strange the world of AI and generative AI gets, you'll always know just enough to sound smart at your dinner party.